So we're all waiting to see what's going to happen between Iran and Israel and the Palestinian resistance. It looks like we are heading into a major war. With its assassination in Tehran of Ismail Haniyeh, Israel has topped off its incessant, deliberate slaughter of Palestinian children in Gaza and its accelerated evictions and home demolitions in the West Bank. And it has erased any scintilla of a pretense that it's doing anything else but trying to, as the religious nationalists say, finish 48. That is, achieve the total ethnic cleansing of Palestine via extermination and expulsion. It is telling the world it will kill anyone and any number of people, anywhere, at any time of its choosing. And it does not give a damn about what anyone in the world thinks about that. Israel is acting in complete contemptuous disregard of international law and conventions and common morality, certainly in contemptuous disregard of the people and nations it considers its adversaries, but also in contemptuous disregard of the countries on whose support it depends. Israel is acting with particular contemptuous disregard for the United States, the country on whom it most depends. Israel has only slightly less contempt for Americans than it does for Palestinians. It considers Palestinians needless subhumans, while it considers Americans necessary fools who don't and can't understand the necessary eliminationist policy towards Palestinians that's at the core of the Zionist project. For Israel, equality-obsessed Americans are just hopelessly naive about the savagery of Palestinians. Israel thinks of Americans the way a supercilious avant-garde artist thinks of his or her vulgar, wealthy patrons. It has to keep its indispensable supporters believing that it shares their appreciation of the purely decorative prettiness of things like human rights, peace, living side by side in mutual respect, etc., so that its indispensable supporters will continue to subsidize the truly important and transgressive Zionist artistry whose beauty they will never understand. Israel's been confident of its ability to play its American patron like this because, as Netanyahu and other Israeli leaders have said many times, to quote Netanyahu, America is a thing that can easily be moved in the right direction. Quote, we have the Senate, the Congress, and a strong Jewish lobby on our side. And he's right. And he also has the dominant Zionist-controlled media on his side. It's hard to find a ward more contemptuous of its patron than Israel, or a patron more submissive to its ward than the United States. Israel is essentially saying to the United States and its other Western supporters, if you want to continue pretending to yourselves and your citizens that there's such a thing as fundamentally humanitarian liberal Zionism, that we're interested in ceasefires and two-state solutions and such, that we're interested in anything other than getting rid of Palestinians and consolidating Jewish supremacy, while we blatantly kill the primary negotiator you want us to talk to about ceasefires and two-state solutions, you go right ahead and keep pretending that. You keep writing your thoughtful op-eds and keep expressing your frustration with us. Just understand that we are going to continue killing people. Just understand that we are going to continue killing anyone and any number of people, anywhere, at any time of our choosing, until we've put down all potential enemies of our colonial project. And we don't give a damn about what you think. Your job is to keep sending us the weapons we need and bring your soldiers and armies into a major war to protect us from the inevitable blowback from the countries that we attack. Capiche? To which American politicians of all stripes and colors say, yes, sir, your war is our war. We will do anything to protect the Zionist project. Really, has anyone ever seen a more pathetically obsequious and self-demeaning political leadership? One wants to hope that a major war can be avoided. But as I argued right after October 7th, Israel's solution to Gaza is war on Iran. And it's a war they've been planning with the United States for 15 years. Since October 7th, Israel has concluded that the Palestinian Arab population, the majority of people from the river to the sea, will never be negotiated into accepting submission to the Jewish supremacist regime, so that it's time, once and for all, for a final culling of that population. For Israel, the question has been called, the question of the future of Zionism. And they are not wrong about that. Ensuring Zionism's future requires a decisive defeat right now, before it gets any stronger, because it's getting stronger every year, of the entire axis of resistance, which, in Israel's mind, requires shattering Iran, the remaining supportive military backbone of that axis. To do that, Israel will need and will get the help of its American attack dog, which has already torn up Iraq, Libya, and Syria to render them incapable of seriously supporting Palestinian resistance. The U.S. political and military establishment has no problem with, is indeed already engaged in that. It's engaged in another undeclared war on behalf of Israel, a country we have no defense treaty authorizing, let alone requiring us to fight, kill, die, and start a world war for. Of course, don't worry about that. The Congress will obediently supply an authorization of military force, a fake war declaration if necessary. The Biden-Harris administration is already sending aircraft carrier combat groups, fighter jets, and an amphibious force of 4,000 people to fight Iran on behalf of the Zionist project. So Israel is all in. Iran better be. Iran, along with its chief ally, Hezbollah, has done its best to avoid a direct all-out war with Israel. But now, if Iran does not hit Israel hard, does not hurt Israel badly in response to the things it's done, including the Haniyeh assassination in Tehran, Israel will continue to kill any resistance leader anywhere at any time of its choosing. It will continue to slaughter the people of Gaza, eliminate the Palestinians in the West Bank, and bomb Syria, Lebanon, and any other country it wants at will. The problem, of course, is that any Iranian attack that hurts Israel will be met by an all-out attack by Israel and the United States, an attack in which Israel will use nuclear weapons. Iran, I'm sure, at least I hope, knows this. Anybody who doesn't know this is kidding themselves. I repeat what I've said many times before. It's because Israel knows how strong Iran is and knows it will be hurt badly by Iran and Hezbollah, and knows no one is going to go in and occupy Iran, that Israel is not going to go into this fight to achieve anything less than a level of defeat and deterrence that will take Iran out of the anti-Zionist resistance for at least 10 years. And the only way it can think it could do that is by using nuclear weapons. The only people who are kidding themselves about that, pretending they don't know it, are the self-deceived American and Western liberal Zionist political media and maybe military elite. They will say to Israel, okay, we'll help you attack Iran, but you have to promise us not to use your nukes. Israel, in contemptuous disregard of these fools, will so promise, and once the war starts, use its nukes. Israel knows full well that the frustrated but obsequious Americans will not dare to abandon the war they've already engaged in. Israel is convinced that American support and its own nuclear weapons will ensure Iran's defeat, and it will use all of those tools. For its part, Iran seems to have decided upon heavy action. It's been taking a long time to prepare for that, and the longer it takes, the more serious I think it is. The action is going to be. I think it probably has received important weaponry and tools from Russia, including advanced electronic warfare capabilities, and most importantly, if they got it, advanced S-400 air defense systems. That's going to make a big difference. Iran is not taking the calls from U.S. and Western leaders saying, oh, please don't turn this into an all-out war. It is essentially saying, we are going to hit Israel. And if that leads to all-out war, so be it. If you wanted to avoid that, you should have been restraining Israel, which has forced us to do this. As much as everyone hates to admit it, some conflicts can only be settled by force, and sometimes you need a war to stop a runaway train of criminal aggression. So if this goes forward, as I fear it will, both sides will certainly suffer a massive damage, but one side or the other will suffer a defeat. If the fight ends with Iran forced to continue accepting Israel's prerogative to kill and bomb any target it likes, any time it likes, Iran is defeated. If it ends with Israel forced to constrain its attacks within limits it does not set, Israel is defeated. Given the costs of this battle to both, it is unlikely that either party will stop fighting without, at a minimum, inflicting such a concession on the other. Given the combatants and the stakes, it is both hard to imagine the force it will take to inflict such a minimum or a more comprehensive strategic defeat on either party. And it's hard to imagine either party withdrawing unless it suffers a more comprehensive defeat. It's an incredibly dangerous situation. So Iran's best chance is to initiate a full-scale offensive of the entire axis of resistance. Iran, Hezbollah, Ansar Allah, the Houthis, all the Palestinian resistance groups, Iraqi and Syrian militias, all of these groups, to attack Israel and American targets everywhere they can with as much surprise as possible. The United States is involved on this from day one as a full enemy combatant and must be treated as such. Any such action, then, will quickly become at least a massive regional war and will threaten to engulf the whole world. It will be a decisive battle in which every party is at existential risk. Everyone will come out badly hurt, but it's the state of Zionism and Palestine that will be changed most dramatically. My first impulse is to say that it's as serious a moment as 1967 or 1973, but really, I think it's as serious as 1948, which it will finish one way or the other. We can wonder whether other major world powers, Russia, China, Turkey, etc., will step in to intervene and impose another kind of settlement on this. But to do so, they'd have to be ready to fight Israel and the United States. A group of such world powers could have stopped this runaway train at some time during the past 10 months if they had insisted on bringing humanitarian and reconstruction aid into Gaza, consistent with ICJ rulings, daring Israel and the United States to try and stop such an intervention. We're not attacking Israel. We're just coming in to stop the genocide and to stop the slaughter of Palestinians and rebuild Gaza. They did not do that, which means they're now faced with the problem of whether they will intervene in a larger war at the risk of being the target of nuclear attack themselves, or whether they'll be content to sit back and watch the United States and Israel destroy themselves and come in and pick up the pieces. And don't think Israel wouldn't use nuclear weapons against any country that intervened to limit the Zionist project. Israel doesn't have nuclear weapons to use against Gaza or the West Bank. Nuclear weapons to use against anyone, and especially a powerful country, who might think of imposing limits on the Zionist project. This is the Samson option as described over 20 years ago by Israeli military historian. Quote, "We possess several hundred atomic warheads and rockets and can launch them at targets in all directions, perhaps even at Rome. Most European capitals are targets for our air force. Let me quote General Moshe Dayan. Israel must be like a mad dog, too dangerous to bother. We have the capability to take the world down with us, and I can assure you that will happen before Israel goes under. So I consider this a more dangerous moment than the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. Because we're in the midst of a military operation that involves an ongoing slaughter of children on a world historical scale of criminality that must be stopped. And because Israel has violated every norm of international law and diplomatic convention and provoked in the most blatant way its adversaries, and because we are burdened with the leadership of nuclear states that is much more pathological and stupid than anybody was in 1962. So I have no idea how this is going to end up, but the dog days are upon us, and it's extremely dangerous. Hamas, the PIJ, and PFLP may not have realized what they were doing on October 7th, but Israel has made it clear since. The question has been called. So as I say, this is a version of my latest Substack article. The question is called Waiting for Iran to Answer. Please like and subscribe here and on Substack. Links to that article and other relevant articles are below. Thanks for watching.